please bring up our beloved brother and student minister, Nuri Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah, not some of the praise and not most of the praise, but all the praise belongs to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who intervened in our affairs in the form of a well-made man named Master Fard Muhammad. We forever thank this one true and living wise God for not only coming among us, but raising one from the midst of us that will lead, teach, and guide us back to the straight path of God, that we once again could become that pious, proud, powerful, and productive people we once were before we were kidnapped and Caucasianized and Westernized and Christianized by the white man. That man that I'm speaking of today is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Allah did not take me and then clean me up and polish me up and take me with him, but Allah took me and shined me up and put me back on top of the junk pile, so that the rest of the pieces in the junk pile would know that if they put their lives in the same hand I put my life into, then they too could shine. Well, we were those other pieces of junk in the junk pile. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is telling us, what I have become, you can become that too. We thank Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise are due to Allah. And you know, like I know, that we wouldn't be talking about Master Fard Muhammad or the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in this high esteem were it not for a man in our midst today. A man that really is, when you look at him, he is the combination of the spiritual DNA of both Master Fard Muhammad and the honorable Elijah Muhammad put into one human being. He is the man that taught me everything that I know. And he's the man that I hope to one day become. I'm talking about the one that became a father to most of us via MP3, via YouTube, via Instagram, via IGTV. And some of us been with the minister long enough that he was a father to us via CD and DVD. We got a few in the audience right now, and they go all the way back to VHS and cassette tape. I'm even looking at some soldiers that might know Farrakhan all the way back from the album and the 45. I see 3 or 4 brothers that might even know Farrakhan via 8-track. But whether it was an 8-track or a YouTube clip, Farrakhan has been a father to all of us. We thank Allah for this most beautiful and dutiful human being among us today. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked for me to extend his love and greetings of Assalamu alaikum. Will do. If anybody looking around at us, thinking there's something wrong with us for what we just did, no, ain't nothing wrong with us for what we just did, but it is something wrong with you if you had a problem with it. Because last I checked, right here in New York City, when that no good ham sandwich eating judge walks out, one of these corrupt congressmen or surreptitious sinners, hell, when the head of the school board walks out, there's always some little white boy in the corner in one of them fake police uniforms. They got the nerve as soon as they see the black robe coming out, or as soon as they see President so-and-so, a congressman so-and-so, a senator so-and-so, they look and tell everybody, all rise. And then they got the nerve to say the honorable judge, Farrakhan more honorable than any judge in New York City. And he's more worthy to be stood for. After all, he's been standing for us for 65 years. So anytime he sends his love and greetings to us, we stand with our back straight, shoulders held high, with a smile on our face, And we want to return the greetings of peace and prosperity and completeness and wholeness. And a man needs everything. Let him have everything he needs. We want that man to have it, because if anybody on this planet deserves the peace of God, it is a man that's been on the battlefield for us longer than most of us have been on the live on this planet. I'm so happy to be here with one of the greatest soldiers that the Nation of Islam has ever produced, our brother, your brother, student minister Hafiz Muhammad. We're so thankful to Allah for all of your sacrifice and your service, for your commitment to the message and the messenger. And no matter what has happened above, around, or inside of the city or inside of the region, you have seen him operate as a solid anchor, standing firm on the truth of God, unapologetically a proud Muslim follower of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank Allah for you, Brother Hafiz, and your family, and all of the sacrifice that you have laid. As he just told you, my assignment tonight for these next 24 minutes. You all right? Oh, it don't take a long time for the truth to win. In fact, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that all you need, if you want to get someone to be transformed by the message that he brought, he said, because inside of his message there's 3 essential ingredients: light, life, and power. So he said, I don't care if the person you're talking to is not only mentally or emotionally or economically dead, but they can almost be physically dead. And if you start talking to the ear of that dead man or dead woman, all it takes is 8 minutes and 20 seconds being under the life-giving, life-saving, life-changing message of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and you can transform human life. So to have 23 minutes and a half, we got 3 times the amount of time that we need for the message to work. But my assignment today is a subject titled, Love Ye One Another. Now, of course, we put this out on social media, and as soon as we put this out on social media, we got a little kickback from a Jehovah's Witness. They wanted to know, why are you Muslims taking a subject that Jesus said? I said, well, who told you that we didn't believe in Jesus? He said, well, my question to you, yeah, I know y'all believe in Jesus, but have you been baptized? I said, not only have we been baptized once in our life, but every Wednesday at 8 o'clock we get baptized again. Every Friday at 7:30 we get baptized again. On Saturday morning at 9 a.m. we have a special women's only baptism session. And on Monday night at 7:30 p.m. we have a men's only baptism. And then we all gather back together and we invite everybody from the hood to come and get collectively baptized one more time on Sunday at 11 o'clock. And of course, y'all clapping because y'all understand, but it didn't seem like he understood. But I told the brother, I said, Jesus said that I was baptized in the water, but ye shall be baptized in the Spirit. Did you hear me? Being dunked into a baby swimming pool in the back of a church on the first Sunday of the month does not have any transformative power. The only difference between the black man and woman before they got baptized and after they got baptized is they started off a dry Negro. And after they got dipped 3 times, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, they came up a wet Negro. But a Negro nonetheless. You cannot change a human being's life by dipping their body into a baby swimming pool 3 times. But you can transform a human being's life if you dip their mind into some knowledge, some wisdom, and some understanding. Then, matter of fact, you don't have to change their life. They'll use that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and they'll start changing their own life, working out their own salvation. So yeah, we believe in Jesus. The difference between us is we believe in the right Christ and not the white Christ. And for those of us that didn't know, Jesus was not a white man. Jesus, according to the book of Revelations, had hair like lamb's wool and feet like brass that had been burned in the oven. Lamb's wool is nappy hair. Brass is already brown. You put fire on brown brass and brown brass turns black. So Jesus had black feet and some nappy hair. Another verse said Jesus had the complexion of jasper or sardine stone. Well, jasper and sardine stone in the earth are either black or brown stones. Another verse said Jesus had the complexion like that of an olive. Well, we know there's only 3 olives. You got green, purple, and black. And we know he wasn't green or purple. So his complexion must have been like that black olive. Whenever they were trying to hide Jesus, if he was a little white baby, why come the angel of the Lord didn't say, get you a fast camel, and Mary and Joseph and your new baby flee into Italy? If it's a white baby, why come the angel didn't say, get your baby together, get you a fast camel, and go hide out in Germany? The angel didn't tell them to go hide from King Herod and the army in Italy or in Germany or in any parts of Europe. He said, rent a fast camel and flee into Egypt. Egypt is in Africa. The word Egypt in Greek is Aegyptus, which means land of black and burnt skinned people. Do you know that when you are hiding, you're camouflaging? And when you're camouflaging, you're trying to blend in with the color of the environment so that you won't be spotted. So when the army's in the jungle, they wear green because that matches the trees. When they're in the desert, they wear beige because it matches the sand. When they're in the snow, they wear white fatigue because it matches the snow. When they're on the night journey, they wear all black because it blends in with the blackness of the night. Well, how could Jesus be hiding, camouflaging in the land of black and burnt skinned people and not get caught unless he was blending in well with the other black and burnt skinned people too? He was a black man. And of course, the minute that you tell the story about Jesus being black, matter of fact, not just Jesus being black, but anytime you try to do anything good for your people or your community, unfortunately, the number one enemy that pops up is very rarely a white man. It's always a volunteer, self-appointed, no 401k, no dental, pro bono, Negro defense attorney for white folks that shows up to so what difference does it matter what color Jesus was? Hell, that's the question you need to ask Michelangelo, because he painted him white. It mattered to somebody what color Jesus was because he started off black and now he's become a white man. Do you know that there's a book that's out of print now called Psych Wars? And in this book, the scientists put black minds under a functional MRI machine, and then they began to study the synapses and the logic circuits in the brain to determine which lies put in the black mind were most destructive. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad told the world that lies go against the grain of the brain. And that to receive a lie destroys brain cells, and to tell a lie destroys even more brain cells. He said the brain cell was created to think right. Right doesn't just mean correct. But whenever you're driving and you have your GPS on and it says make a right turn at the light, right is a direction. So if the brain cells are created to think right, he said thought travels on average of 24 billion miles per second. And that thought travels in the head around 14 billion brain cells. And since all cells are shaped in a circle, then the thought is moving at 24 billion miles per second in a circular motion inside the head. The scientists say the average human being thinks 60,000 thoughts per day. And whatever we think about the most is what wins. Do you know that whenever something is spinning in a circular way, it produces one or two forces? One's called centrifugal force, and the other's called centripetal force. Centrifugal force means when an object spins, it repels objects away from it. Centripetal means when an object spins, it brings things closer to it. The brain cell, the thought in the mind is so powerful that it doesn't do one or the other, it does both and. So when we think a thought, whatever the nature is of our thought, we began by the law of centripetal force to attract to ourselves people, situations, and circumstances that match the nature of our thinking. And by the law of centrifugal force, we began to repel people, situation, and circumstance opposite of the nature of our thoughts. So if you really want to know how to get joy, peace, happiness in your life, it starts off by thinking right thoughts. It starts off by thinking clean thoughts. It starts off by thinking good thoughts. And by the time you think it, you'll attract it to you. So if the thoughts are moving 24 billion miles per second in a right direction, imagine any object in motion headed one way, such as a car, such as a truck. Imagine driving your car, not even 24 billion miles per second, just driving 30. And if you in drive going 30 and you keep on slamming in reverse, at a certain point, you're going to mess up your transmission. Only 3 brothers know how to work on a car. We in trouble. My God. Hold on a second. You do know the transmission. Okay, if you don't, we're going to try it again. And look, faith it till you make it. I said not fake it, faith it till you make it. So we're going to try, but here we're going to try it. Take 2. So if you had a car not going 24 billion miles per second, but just going 30 miles per hour and it's moving in a forward direction and you consistently kept on slamming it in reverse, you would mess up the what? Now, I don't know how it is in New York, in the black community, but maybe y'all never had a broke down car before. I don't know how it is in New York City. I don't know the level of black excellence and prosperity that exists. But if you ever, where I come from, we used to drive cars that sometime it wouldn't go in the second. Or it go in the second but wouldn't go in the third. And whenever we were driving the car, because the transmission was messed up, if it would stay in second, we couldn't get past 30 miles per hour. The RPMs would crank up. It'd be loud, ring, all the way on 6 or 7. But we'd be going nowhere fast.
So the same way, sisters and brothers, that slamming a car in reverse will mess up the transmission. And the transmission gives the automobile the ability to shift in a higher gear that it can go faster to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So it is with the human mind. The mind is created to think right. Every lie that is told is slamming the mind in reverse, ultimately damaging our psychological transmission. At a certain point, we can't move fast enough. See, that's why in the Nation of Islam, we say that we are quick thinking, fast moving, clean inside and out, right down to the modern times, because we feed our minds on the truth. All praise is due to Allah. So when Dr. Jones put the black mind under the functional MRI and studied the brain synapses and the logic circuits that existed in the cerebral cortex in the brain, the place that deals with judgment, they began telling lies to those that were under the scan. Every lie damaged a few synapses. Every lie began to renegotiate the electrical energy or the way that it lit up in the judgment centers of the brain. And what they found is that the most destructive lie that could ever be put inside of a black mind is that Jesus is a white man. They say, why would it be so powerful? Because the logic circuits kick in once you say Jesus is white. Then logically speaking, if Jesus is white and he's the Son of God, if he's the Son of God and he's white and God is his Father, then God must be white too. And if God is good and God is love and God is white and I am black, well, logically speaking, if black is the opposite of white, and then I'm the opposite of love, I'm the opposite of good, I'm the opposite of God. None of us have ever said this out loud, but the fact that we can kill each other in the streets of New York tell us that we don't love black. The fact that we can sell dope to one another tells us that we don't love black. Is this the truth? Yes, sir. The only other difference between us is not just the right Christ, but we believe in the right Christ, not the white Christ. But the only difference is we believe in Jesus and the return of Jesus. The difference between us is just a scheduling conflict. The whole world said Jesus is coming back. We believe our Savior has arrived. That's the difference. Y'all all right? So we have the right. No, listen. We have the responsibility. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we are the true Christians. So we are duty bound to represent the true Jesus. So love ye one another came from Jesus, but as true Christians, we got to break it down. Do you know that it's a whole lot of people that talk about love, but very few people really know what love is? Have you noticed that? It's then got so bad that one of the most popular songs in the world was sang by a sister by the name of Tina Turner. Look at that. I wish y'all could have seen what I said. Now, that didn't cross generational line. I seen someone 80 and I seen someone 18 said, what's love got to do? See, what she's saying is that I've been living in a world, I've been relating to men and women in this world, and there's a lot of people say, I love you, but the actions that I see coming after the words has caused me to become a disbeliever in the principle of love itself. So she said, what's love? I wish we could have answered her, because love has everything to do with it. But she said, what's love but a secondhand emotion? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that love is not an emotion. Love is the mother of all emotions. Are y'all with me? The Bible says God. Oh, y'all did go to Sunday school. The Bible says that God. Do you know, sisters and brothers, that when the word is comes in between a word or two words, that is in mathematics is the equal sign? Meaning whatever is on one side is exactly the same as the one object or word on the other side. So if God is love, God equals love, love equals God. Whatever God has done with love, we can do. So what's love got to do with it? Love got everything to do with it. Because if God is love and love is God and God is force and power, God is the creator, God is the sustainer and the evolver and the nurturer of a thing stage by stage till it reaches protection. God is the creator. So if God is force and power, then love has force and power. All right, Brother Arthur, we in trouble. I only seen 4 people that agreed with that. They was listening. You got your seatbelt on? Love will give you more power than muscle. 1, 2, about 9 of y'all, 4 of y'all. Boy, this is rough, man. Okay, okay, let me see if I can get a better consensus. I said love has more power than muscle. Now, I wasn't meaning for y'all to clap more on that one, but that's fine. But what's the evidence that supports it? See, if love is not more powerful than muscle and has more force in it than muscles do, explain to me how a 120-pound mother can pick up an automobile off of her baby, and while she got the automobile up that she picked up with 2 hands, let one hand go and pull her baby out the way and drop the damn car. Love is more powerful than muscle. Do you know 2.5 months ago that there was a father and son swimming in the ocean in Florida, and an alligator came up and snatched his son? And when the father seen that the son was in the mouth of the alligator, he jumped in the water, went to the alligator's mouth. Now, you've heard them say that you can push an alligator's mouth down, but you can never pull it up. No, what they should say is that you got enough muscle to push an alligator's mouth down, but you don't have enough muscle alone to open it up. But that father went inside the ocean, grabbed the alligator, wrestled the alligator, opened up his mouth, not with his muscle, but with love. Push-ups can't make you that strong. Bench press can't make you that strong. Deadlifts can't make a mother that strong to pick up a car. But love can do it because love has more power than muscle. Y'all still all right? Yes, sir. So love got everything to do with it. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that anyone that has not genuinely experienced love has not genuinely experienced life. He said, the minister said, that if you look at the word love and live, they really are the same word except for one vowel. He said technically the one vowel that they have difference are interchangeable with one another. You can take the I out of live and put it where the O is in love, and love will become live. And you can take the O out of love and put it where the I is in live, and live will become love. Why can you interchange them? Because the love is to live. And you don't have life until you have love. Oh man, 3 people again, Lord. God. This is rough, y'all. Okay? God said through Paul, you can tell when man has gone from death into because he loves the brother. So the litmus test to determine how alive or dead we are is not really how much we love the God, not really how much we love the wife, not really how much we love the husband, not really how much we love the son or love the daughter or love the grandmama or the but the real test of love is, can you, with all of the imperfections that your brother and your sister has, with all of the flaws and the faults and the frailties of your brother and sister, can you, in spite of their imperfections, can you love that brother and sister? And if you can, then you're a living person. Y'all still all right? Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. There's too much good in the worst of us and bad in the best of us for any of us to judge the rest of us. It always has bothered me personally to see people that are righteous and mean. Now, this is just my non-scientific, humble analysis. If you're righteous and mean, you don't really want to be right. Islam is a way of life, not a burden. Righteousness is our nature. Righteousness to the original people is water to a fish. It's air to a bird. Water to the righteousness to the original people is as much as honey is to the bee. It's natural for us. So to be in accord with your natural self makes living easier. But if you're righteous and mean, what you're saying is that you're judging other people that are doing wrong because in your mind you wish you could do it. My non-scientific analysis. But you should have joy in being clean, joy from being sane, happiness from being sober. Don't it feel good to lay down at night knowing that you have not violated none of the laws of God, nor any rights of our fellow brother or sister? Righteousness is supposed to make us happy. So being mean and righteous is an oxymoron. You know what oxymoron is, right? Oxymoron is when you put 2 words together to describe one object, but the words you use are opposite in nature of one another. Like a good devil. Is that oxymoron? A freed slave. Jumbo shrimp. We went to P.F. Chang's one day and they had the nerve to have on the menu something called a long life noodle. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said if you are overweight or desire to live a long life, you should eat no pop. There ain't no long life noodle. Oxymoron. Ham sandwich on wheat bread. What the hell? You're going to eat ham, you might as well get some Wonder Bread. Gonna die. Don't play with dying, die for real. Brother, did you get your raw milk? Yes, I have been getting my raw milk, but it don't seem to be working for me. What do you mean, brother? It's not working for you. Are you boiling it? Yes, sir. So what are you using your raw milk for? The main thing I use it for is I put my raw milk over Captain Crunch. But it's not working. That's an oxymoron. You don't put no pure milk from the cow on some damn Captain Crunch. Being righteous and being mean means that you don't like being right. And in the mind, you want to constantly find other people that are doing something wrong so that you can get them some punishment. Because hell, if I can't smoke, you can't either. These brothers kill me always looking at these sisters. What you really want to say, these brothers kill me, not looking at me. Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. Leave it alone. Oh, Lord. Love lift us up where we belong. Love lift us up where we belong. Do you know that Jesus said, this day I give unto you 2 commandments, and on these 2 hang all the laws and all the prophets? That's got to be very sturdy. Been 24,000 prophets in the last 6,000 years? And you telling me these 2 laws can support all of them? All the laws that have ever been written, good and negative, it can hold all of that? He said, I give unto you 2 commandments, but because we've been inside of church, and in church, the reverend goes by the Bible, but not into the Bible. You understand what I'm saying? Most religious teachers are surface dwellers. They cannot teach you the inner meaning of what you're looking at. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the wisdom of God has so much depth in it that he could teach on one of the student enrollments for 10,000 years and never repeat himself. So when we heard the first commandment was to love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the second one was likened unto it, to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. All we heard was loving God and loving the neighbor is 2 commandments, but there's 3 loves in there. Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, but then love your neighbor as you what? That's 3 loves. God love, neighbor love, or brother and sister, and love of you. We've been taught in America to hate everything black. We've been taught to hate the color of our skin. We've been taught to hate the thickness of our lips. We've been taught to hate the texture of our hair. We've been taught to hate the land we came from. You can't go nowhere without being indoctrinated with hatred of black and sanitizing of white. Nowhere. Go to school. You're going to learn about Newton, Einstein, George Washington, Thomas Edison, Plato, Aristotle, Thales, Pythagoras, Socrates, Plato, all who? White men. Right? You're not going to go there and learn about Imhotep, Shaka Zulu, Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. You're not going to learn about Elijah Muhammad. But I'm going to drop this on you. If you don't learn about nobody on earth but Elijah Muhammad, you straight. You good. You got everything you need in studying that man. You all right? So, education. Have you noticed that even when, man, I ain't got enough time to go into all that. Can I get 3 minutes? Lord. Have you noticed that whenever they teach black history in school, that it's always from the plantation to the present and the cotton field to the current? Never do they talk about what we used to be whenever we were in Africa before we were made slaves. Have you noticed that? In Black History Month, the main dish is Martin Luther King Jr. Come on now. Side dish of Rosa Parks. Come on now. 4 tablespoons of Frederick Douglass. And if you had a real revolutionary school, you might get a shot glass of some Malcolm X. But at the end of the day, it's always from slavery up to now. They never talked to us about what we were when we were that pious, proud, powerful, and productive people before we came to the West. It's because they don't want us to know what we used to be. And since we don't know what we used to be before slavery, we are comparing our apartment to a slave hut. We're comparing our little clothes we got to the burlap we used to wear. We're comparing our $13 an hour job to working for free. And once you began to think that we went from burlap to Gucci, we went from a mud hut to a 2-bedroom apartment. And we went from slavery to $13 an hour. Next thing you know, we start talking about we started from the bottom, now we here. But if we were to get back beyond slavery, we will realize we started way up there at the top and we all the way down here. We got some work to do to get back up to be what we once were. All praise is due to Allah. So there has to be some love of self. Y'all with me? And if we don't love ourselves, and the standard is love our brother or sister as we love ourselves, then we will never properly build brotherhood and sisterhood. And I'm going to say this and we're going to close it out. In Surah 3:103, Allah gives a mandate and instruction to the believer. He said, hold fast to the rope of Allah all together and be not disunited. That's not a request. That's not a suggestion. That is a direct order from God. Unity is a requirement. Yes, sir. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said we will all be one or nothing. There ain't no in between. He said no one man could ever rise above the condition of his people. Either we all go up or we don't. I said, man, you know when you are in the physical world, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said for every physical law there is in the universe a spiritual law in nature that is his counterpart. So right now, I'm looking forward, but I can see Brother Arthur right there. They call that your peripheral vision. Did you know you got a spiritual peripheral vision? See, if you holding fast to the rope of Allah altogether, the rope is connected to the ark of Muhammad. And we climbing up out of the sea of sin. Can y'all see the picture? Now, you know if all of us are on the rope, there's some above us and some beneath us. Do you know whenever you holding on to a rope all together with a bunch of people trying to get to the same destination, the fact that you can look up and see them with a firm grip or look down and see them with a firm grip, you start saying, if they can do it, so can I? Do you know what happens when you hold fast to something all together? If you see your brother slipping, you can double wrap your one hand, reach your other hand down, get them back strong. Do you understand what I'm doing it together? Working together works. I learned. One day I was training for a marathon, and my running partner, well, how can I say this? We would kind of compete with one another because he's a Negro. No, I'm just being honest. He's a Negro, and I was a striving Muslim. So he was always like, every time he seen me tired on a training run, he's like, brother, I told you got to get some breakfast. I'm serious, man. You got to get your carbs up. You got to get some oatmeal or something. And I'll be like, no, sir. And then every time I seen him slipping, I'd be like, that's that breakfast on you, boy. Yeah, I feel good. I feel real good. So we was out running one day on a 21-mile run, and while we was out running together, at the 17-mile marker, I started hurting real bad. And I looked over at my brother, and his back was straight, had a nice pace, and his stride was good. And I said to myself, I ain't getting ready to let no cognac nipping, black and mild smoking, cheeseburger eating Negro getting ready to outrun me. Damn it, if he can do it, so can I. No, that is the truth. I'm being honest with you. That is what I thought. You're not green beating me. So I kept it moving. 4 more miles. Now, I said 21 miles. Do you know how long that is? You burn 200 calories just saying that. We got all the way to the end of the 21-mile run. I fell out in the grass. I looked over. He fell out in the grass. And you won't believe it. This brother had the audacity to lean over and say to me, he said, brother, I got to tell you something, brother. I was hurting real bad around that 17-mile marker. I said, what did you just say? He said, I was hurting real bad around that 17-mile mark, but I looked over at you and your back was straight. Your stride was good. You had such a good pace. I said, if he can do it, so. Point is, guess what? We borrow strength from one another without even talking to one another. It's something about the brotherhood and the sisterhood. Working together in unity, striving in unity, that you can be righter than you can by yourself. Stronger than you can by yourself. Go harder and longer than you can by yourself. I'm saying all that to say, mighty Muslims, mighty brothers and sisters, that we need each other. Prophet Muhammad said there's 3 things you need in order to remain a Muslim. 1, Allah, 2, his messenger, and 3, a community. So I'm saying to all the new sisters and brothers that you looking at the nation from the outside in and you saying ain't no way in the world I can be as righteous as them. Well, I'm going to go ahead and break it to you. We ain't as righteous as we look. Oh, hell, y'all don't want to clap. That's all right. It's all right. I'm going to go ahead and let you know. We're not as strong as you think we are. But we're borrowing strength from one another. If you could get right out there by yourself, why would God set up a mosque? Why would God erect a community around every messenger or prophet? Because he knows that in order for you to know the truth, you got to hear a message. But in order for you to live the truth, you got to be in unity with brothers and sisters that are striving to make the word flesh. I'm saying to you this. Don't judge your ability to live this life by how you're doing it out there by yourself. Men sharpen men like steel sharpen steel, and women sharpen women like steel sharpen steel. Do you know that when you're in the ranks, you can borrow strength from one another? Is this the truth? And I'm just going to give you something real quick. So I want to bust up a myth and a misconception. Somehow, some way, we've been taught that if you're not feeling that good emotionally, then you should stay away from the mosque. It's really the exact opposite. If you're not feeling that good emotionally, get to the mosque as fast as you can. Have you noticed that whenever you come tired, you'll feel energy as time goes on? You don't even have to tell nobody what you're going through. But you know, whenever you look at another black woman, she catching the same hell you catching as her sister. You know, when you look at a black man, he's catching the same hell that you catching in the white man's world that you catching. So if you see them catching the same hell in the same place at the same time, yet they got a smile on their face, then you begin to say, what's wrong with me? Let me get it right. And then don't you know that by the time you hear somebody say, Assalamu alaikum to you, 15, 16 times, how many times can you get a kiss on your cheek, both sides, sister, and somebody call you a queen? How many times can you hear your brother call you a top soldier, call you a warrior, call you a god? How you going to be a warrior and a soldier and a god and walk around with your head down depressed? Gods don't get depressed. God solved depression. All praise is due to Allah. And I'm going to tell you how powerful just the ritual of being in the mosque is. Brother Arthur, come up here. Let me show him. Do you know that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to greet each other in a unique way? See, we don't greet one another in a distrustful manner like in the streets. In the streets, we, you know. I got one hand hanging just in case. I got that angle on him just in case. But in Islam, when we greet each other, I got to put my hand in his hand. And then his arm or hand got to touch somewhere on my body, and mine got to touch somewhere on his. That's right. And then we bring our bodies together and we go cheek to cheek. What are we doing? We're saying, I'm bringing my heart together with your heart. Come on. And I want you to know, Brother Arthur, I got your back. And he's telling me I got yours too. And let me tell you something. Do you know? Come on. Now again, I don't know how prosperity is in New York. Y'all never had a vehicle with a slipping transmission. So maybe y'all never had a vehicle that needed a jump. Anybody ever needed a jump? Yes, sir. Do you know when your battery's low and you need a jump? Come on. All you got to do is plug to one battery that got a charge in it. That's right. And then take to the wires and plug. You can't put one wire on. You got to have both wires on. And if you have both wires on, both the battery that has charge in it and the one that is missing enough charge to get it started, do you know that you can borrow energy from the other car, and at a certain point you just rev it a little bit and you can unplug it and you can stay moving on? I'm saying that to say to us, don't run from the mosque, run to the mosque. Come and get you a jump. Plug in to your brother and your sister. Put that red and that black on they red and they black, even when you ain't feeling good. And watch that at a certain point you're going to be charged back up. I'm saying that to say, let's love ye one another. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. And I love you.
Yeah.